Blog Talk Radio.
First World Order Radio. Finally, we are on the air. No doubt. All right.
There's always going to be somebody in the building on First World Order Radio.
We get on into some of that order consciousness tonight.
First World Order Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m.
We got to talk about what is taking place on the planet.
There's always going to be somebody in the building on First World Order Radio. First, we need to let you know we're going to be doing more shows, giving out more information on Wednesdays. Wednesday at 8 o'clock, we are now going to make this the hottest day of the week.
Preceding others in time, order, importance. The most prominent parts, voices, or instruments. Earthly state of human concerns in existence. An indefinite multitude, quantity, or distance. System regulates to bring about specifics in the root based on value and natural characteristics. Current radiates electromagnetistics of sound through the air, same as your thoughts transmits it. Preceding others in time, order, importance. The most prominent parts, voices, or instruments. Earthly state of human concerns in existence. An indefinite multitude, quantity, or distance. System regulates to bring about specifics in the root based on value and natural characteristics. Current radiates electromagnetistics of sound through the air, same as your thoughts transmits it.
You need to understand how magical this, something like this every Wednesday can become. So you need to start getting your calendar right, get your schedule right. You need to know our intentions straight out.
All right, so, these clues are given throughout the various languages was to piece the puzzle of this ancient mystery school back together again.
And what we plan on doing, both of us, is bringing y'all some surefire dynamite. We're going to take this level up a notch. We're going to have stuff to do here. This is not just going to be about philosophies and theories, shit that works.
You have an activated pineal gland in which that produced this black chemical called melanin.
What we did was gave a hard line in the sand between the different definitions of esoteric study and exoteric study. Playtime is over.
I don't need to be a dope boy, my poetry is dope enough. Trapping interstellar while my third eye open up. See through all the lies that y'all telling with a straight face. Return of the luminous ones. Y'all better make way to find a chapter. Find a collapse on all you politicians. They politicking how to lead a world, no pot to piss in. The way I think is more deep and in the Grand Canyon. I guarantee this black man would be the man standing. My premonition matched the OMAC calendar. It's always accurate like a lightweight challenger. For all you wicked witches and the Wizard of Oz, you and that man behind the curtain, yeah, y'all fixing to fall. Only a matter of time before shit hit the fan. Here's an idiot's guide for you on how to get a man. I don't need a bunch of homers to ride or die with me. I can call on Hey Roo to fly the skies with me. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to his birth. When I'm riding on this city streets, never really miss a beat. To the point of no return, unless I turn another cheek. Catch me on my daily vibe, smooth as I wanna be. Just being me, never chilling with the wannabes. God in the flesh, dated bad sister lectures. Because my history is more than they can understand it. My melanated skin, star brush from the astro. I'm made of dark energy created from black holes. Know thyself, the only one you can lean on. I got some scoopers that y'all can break y'all weed on. Our hair's Martin Luther King and slave ships. But what about the underwater cities and spaceships? My mystical mind, we had the government covering. But if the OMAD temple fly away like a mothership, we're African people, we're the real heads just a few feet taller than me. To the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my ankle, gave my Jesus peace back to the post. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my ankle, gave my Jesus peace back to the post. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth. Yo, don't look at me the same. I ain't nothing like I used to be. Upgraded daily through the lies and all the foolery. My dream became lucid. I travel back in time, collecting life data for my subconscious mind. That Father let me know that anything is possible by pulling down the universe through my crown chakra. Manipulate the energy is all an illusion. Knowing who you are kills all the confusion. Why 85% judge off my appearance? I use alchemy to create the world potential. My lyrics turn divas right back at the queens. Why dope boys are think twice appearing back on the scene. Everybody gone mad, blaming media outlet. The new Black Hollywood chosen straight out of projects. Homo agenda war sucking up to the master. While the whole community going up in disaster. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my ankle, gave my Jesus peace back to the post. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my ankle, gave my Jesus peace back to the post. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth.
All around the production.
Really say this the gift and the message. My music is a weapon when I use it on the reckless. Spaceship hovering throughout the whole region. Open up the sky and take the shortcut to Venus. Getting on my level, it's a hard pill to swallow. Like comparing your religion to it if the earth is hollow. No need to cry there and let it soak in your tomorrows. Let my music soak up all your bittersweet and sorrows. See the sun shining, I lay back and kick it. Staying sucker free is my new way of living. One day we get together, then we all start billing. But the ball that I dribble got me posting like Pippin. Champagne glasses around my organite pyramid. Glazing at the stars, show the kids where we really live. These solar flares got my DNA 12 stranded. Collect the kill trails and feed it to the men springing. Washita Moors, some of us we been here to reunite the others and cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012, 21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to the modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chest a heart attack. Ever since the kid went galactic, my center bracket reached the top and interacted with my solar status. The microphone will grab it, I guess it's just a habit. A living legend in your presence, sorta like the Mavericks. It ain't about me, nah, but it's about the future. I go to races on and dealing with the cockadoodles. I sock it to you like a Grammy and your mama used to. The final stage I ride away just like it's Honolulu. I prove my old school, but since I stayed there, galactic conscious awareness, I got my grades there. See with the eye of Heru, no longer bending knees. My inner chiefs are in me when it's time to leave. This modern day crap, I don't even follow it. I'd rather symbolize my name up in the hieroglyphs. Declare peace without Battlestar Galactica. Footstepping backwards on my way back to Africa. The Washita Moors, some of us we been here to reunite the others to cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012, 21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to the modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chest a heart attack. The Washita Moors, some of us we been here to reunite the others to cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012, 21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to the modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chest a heart attack.
Peace. You back once again with your host, Dr. Alim El-Bey, First Water Radio. No doubt. We back. All right, we're going to get into the topic for tonight, which is called the Nagas and the Return of the Ancient Ones. Brother Fahim, my co-host, here, brother.
Ahate, Washita East, Washita Moors.
Yeah, I tell you, peace, Doc. How you doing tonight?
Doing well, brother. Well, brother. How was it? How was the retreat over the weekend?
Oh, it was excellent. Excellent, amazing. My wife back here saying amazing.
Okay.
No doubt about it. It went real well, real well. Hopefully y'all, come out to the next one. That's going to be during the summer solstice around that time period. So just keep that in mind. There would be another Healing Wings Institute summer solstice healing retreat. We will be dealing with the science of melanin, also Qigong, Tai Chi, Reiki, praying and killing, other energy modalities, acupressure, reflexology, numerology, as well as many other sciences in which that need to be taught to our people so they can get a more holistic aspect of what's really going on, particularly herbalism also. So just check us out. Give us a call at 910-364-9099 for those who's interested in that upcoming event. We'll get the flyers out as soon as possible. All right. Like I was saying, tonight we're going to be talking about the Naga and the return of the ancient ones. There's an article in which that is out right now. Actually, it's all over the news media. And it's about Arena Miyamoto and how she was the first so-called ever biracial woman to be crowned Miss Japan. And she's fighting off critics who say that she isn't Japanese enough to represent her country in the upcoming Miss Universe pageant because her father is so-called black. All right. That interestingly, the area in which that she's representing in Japan is Sasebo, Nagasaki. Now, we know that Nagasaki was one of the two countries that was bombed by the United States during World War II.
Right.
You had Hiroshima or Himashima, as it is also referred to, and Nagasaki. Now, the word Hiroshima or Hiru is the first part of that. So we know that had to be dealing with ancient Kemetic connections, as well as also the word Nagasaki, where Naga actually is an ancient Kushite or Ethiopic word, in which that biblically in Hebrew it means black or dark complexion. All right. The word Naga itself means serpent or snake. The word Naga, if you get the book by Anthony T. Broder, The Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization, he states that the original pharaohs and pharaohesses before the 15th dynasty, before the invasion of the Hyksos, they was named Naga and Nagu. Nagu was the masculine and Naga was the feminine aspect. All right, but that was the term that was used on the throne as the pharaohs and pharaohesses. So the emperors and empresses, the kings and the queens, however term that you want to refer to it, the royal bloodline was named the Naga or Nagu, in which that stems to the mastery of the adept and the ancient chambers or secret chambers or sacred chambers known as the Haka or the Herbak, which was the ancient mystery school system of Temeri. When the word Temeri, of course, means beloved land, in which that becomes Kemet, which was the black land, as well as also later on we get the word Egypt, stemming from the word Egyptos, which means burnt or sunburnt. All right, so That's the Greek interpretation of rendition, transliteration. So we understand that you're dealing with ancient African philosophy and their understanding of the Kundalini energy. So when you get to cities in Japan, like I said, called Hiroshima or Himashima, the word Hiru is first, meaning that they had to have been followers of Hiru. And then, of course, you have the word Nagasaki, which means the city of the serpent spirit. You understand is that these two places had to have had a large population of so-called Moors or, blacks, so-called blacks, in that area prior to 1945, before the bombing. And so the United States actually was practicing a form of biological destruction, or what we refer to as genocide or ethnic cleansing. All right, so you have Arena Miyamoto. She's 20 years old, and she speaks fluent Japanese and was born and raised in Nagasaki, but moved to the United States to complete high school before returning to Japan to pursue a career in modeling and pageantry. She said she didn't expect to excel in modeling due to how foreigners look. She said it makes me more uncomfortable to say she's representing Japan. Wrote one online critic who reported to the Daily Mail. He said it's okay to select a hafu to represent Japan, said another. It goes on to read, that in Japan, Miyamoto is referred to as a hafu, a commonly used derogatory term given to someone who is biracial. Others attack the young woman because her face doesn't look Japanese, or it is too Gaijin, meaning outside person. Although her mother is Japanese, the beauty queen is being labeled as an outsider by some who don't feel she was adequately representing the native land. She has expressed sentiments that the country deserves a pure-blooded Japanese beauty. Now, in her first television appearance, she being chosen to represent Japan in the upcoming pageant, Miyamoto explained to reporters that she's very much Japanese on the inside, although she doesn't necessarily look Japanese on the outside. Japan is one of the least ethnically diverse countries in the world, with 98% of the population being Japanese nationals. Megumi Nishikura, who held the film Hafu, the mixed race experience in Japan, told NBC that Miyamoto's selection as Miss Universe Japan is a huge step in the right direction for the country to redefine what it means to be Japanese. The controversy that has erupted over her selection is a great opportunity for us Japanese to examine how far we have come from our self-perpetrated myths of homogeneity, while at the same time it shows us how much further we have to go, she says. While some has frowned upon Arena's new title as the first biracial Miss Japanese, others have shown their support. Now, I had to read that because that is what tonight's topic is going to be about, is the fact that she's representing as a so-called hafu, biracial mix, mother being Japanese, father being so-called black, and her being born and raised in Japan, in the section of which that was bombed as part of the ethnic cleansing process in World War II. In 1945, the city of Nagasaki. which word, once again, Nagasaki means serpent spirit or serpent force. All right. So essentially, she symbolizes the rise from the ashes of the Kundalini or the serpentine force of fire in that regard. All right, that's what is taking place. She represents that force re-emerging and returning because they thought they did ethnic cleansing, but here it is in that same area. The ethnicity of those who within that particular village or city understood the necessity of them having so-called black blood. We know that within other Japanese cultures, with that if it says that if you have one drop of black blood, in order to be a good samurai, you must have one drop of black blood. You know, so that is an ancient science of genealogy in which that once expanded, you know, in the philosophy of the Japanese culture. And for those, obviously, who do not know Japanese culture, you know, a good book would be What They Never Told You in History Class by Indo-Kemet Kush, as well as also Sex and Race by J.E. Rogers, in particular, Volume 1, where they both speak about that the first inhabitants of Japan were so-called blacks. All right? Moors. And I'm saying blacks because this is just the language in which that our people understand. And I'm saying so-called because we know ourselves to be Moors, which means tied to the land. If you look up the definition of land in the Black's Law Dictionary, you can see that the word Moors is embedded inside of the definition. So actually, wherever a Moor touches their foot on any portion of land in the world, they are instantly tied to it. So for her to have been born in Nagasaki and raised there, she is a natural person of that region and of the Japanese said culture. And the Japanese stems from the culture of the Chinese or the Mongolian. And the original Chinese, even according to J.E. Rogers, Sex and Race, was once again, i.e., so-called blacks. All right, we enter these territories first. All right, we understand that the Shang Li, the third dynasty of China, even is remnants from the Shang dynasty. You get the word Shang or Xian. The word Xian, Providence, is there within China today, in which that have the pyramids in which that is discovered there, and the Chinese people themselves said that they did not build them. You know, not saying that they did not necessarily know who built them, but they say they did not build them. So that means that those pyramids was there prior to them coming into existence within that particular region. But we do know who built them because the word Shang is part of the Nigerian deity or Orisha called Shango. All right. Even the word Chinese is a Nigerian word in which that means protected. All right. So we know that these was Nigerians. Hence the origin of the word Niger, which is the origin of the word Niger, which is the origin of the word Neger or Nagar. All right. Which once again means serpent. So we understand that this Oriental culture stems from out of Africa. All right, we know that even on the walls in Egypt, all right, ancient Tamari, or what is called Tamaray, or what is also referred to as Kemet, the Amahotep temple, all right, on the walls there, martial arts date back to actually over 4,500 years ago. All right. martial arts within China only dates back to 2,200 years ago. So for more than half of the origin of martial arts, we see that it had its starts. And on the wards, you see them doing various grappling moves, as well as also various stick fighting, weapon fighting, wrestling moves, boxing moves. All these things actually is on the walls dating back over 4,500 years ago. All right. So that's the origin of martial arts. We know that Bodhidharma came from out of the region of the Tamil, from out of the Sri Lanka area of India, and of course in the Sri Lanka area, which is the southern section of India, they have what is called the Sudras, the untouchables, in which that thrived in that area and below. And so we understand that you had the Dravidians and you had the pre-Dravidians. The Tamil, or the dark-skinned, complected Moors of that region, came from originally from out of Ethiopia, what is called Ethiopia, Abyssinia. It was called Kush in ancient times, and they came from out of that region, or Nubia. All right, and Nubia sometimes is referred to as a slave term or derogatory term, but Kush might be a little bit better to utilize. But the Tamil people was followers of Atum Ray, and they came from out of that region of the Kushite Egyptos area and traveled into what we refer to as Mesopotamia, which is, later on into a little bit further into India, like the Indo-Kush mountain region. All right. As a matter of fact, the mountain is still there, and they still bear the name Indo-Kush to this day. All right. So the word Indo, we know, means dark complected, or God's people. The word Kush, once again, means dark complexion or so-called black. All right. So even when you use the word Indo-Kush, you still getting the representation from those who came from out of Kush, from out of Africa into Kush, into India, as being one and the same people. Herodotus even makes that statement that they had an East Ethiopian group and a West Ethiopian group, and they both looked identical at that time period, during the time of Herodotus, who was the so-called first Greek historian. Of course, we can basically say that he was not Greek in the terms of complexion, as far as we are thinking of the pale man or Caucasian or Caucasoid. We do know that those who went into and got initiated into the ancient mystery school of Kemet or Tamaray had to have been of dark hue. They could not have been of European birth, whether it's from Persian or whether it's from the Greek pale birth, because of the fact that we didn't allow them into the ancient mystery school. And that did not happen until after 332 BC, with the invasion of that area from the Persians through Alexander the so-called Fake. Alexander the Fake, the so-called Great, I should say, into that area, along with his generals of Ptolemy I of Sota, and how he went in and bribed Sylvester. Of course, that's a European name within itself, but it was one of the chief Coptic priests, because Christianity, actually, the principles and the tenets of Christianity already existed 300 years before the formation of the Roman Catholic Church. It came from out of ancient Africa, as it was one of the schools of Kores, who actually is Heru. And as that information became more, prevalent, during the last 300 years, of Egypt, and the taking over of Egypt, by way of the Persians and the said Greeks, the pale versions, that is, we know that the original Grecians were Cretans, also referred to as Minoans. And the word Minoans means that they was followers of men. And then, of course, you had the Etruscans, who was the first Romans, and all of them were dark-hued, complected people or Moors. All right, so as we understand what is taking place, the way that the information traveled from out of what we refer to as Africa into the diaspora, you find the various priests. You get another book, which is called by Sheikh Anta Diop, his book called African Origin of Civilization, the Myth of Reality. He makes the case in it that around 500 BC, there was an invasion in Africa in which that took place, in which that caused the spreading out of the priesthood into the various areas, in which that developed into the various world religions that we now know of. All right, and that came by way of these various priests coming from out of the ancient mystery school of Egypt, Africa, or Tamari, into the various other lands in which that we now call the other various cultures of Asia, of India, of North and South America, and even into Europe. All right, so we understand that actually took place, and this is verified by, in Sheikh Anta Diop's book, African Origin of Civilization. So, as the Tamil people, Bodhidharma being a Tamil, it is said that he took the teachings of martial arts, in which that was learned and carried on from the people and the traditions of out of Africa into the cultures of India, took that information into China, where he sat amongst the Shaolin monks and trained them and taught them the 18 Lohan positions, because the monks at the time was falling asleep. And so this information was carried over, of course, from Kung Fu, in which that as it got into Japan, it became known as karate. The word ka-ra-ti, or karata. The word ka, of course, means spirit. The word ra means sun or light, photonic energy. And the word te, or ta, means land. All right? So it's talking about the spiritual light of the land. All right? And the land also is talking about of the physical body is the land itself, all right, because you are a physical representation of the earth, hence the term earthling, all right, so you are the land incarnated, so hence that also correlates to the term Moor, once again, all right, so we know that karate as well as Kung Fu and different other martial arts actually depends upon empty hand or either weapons of some sort, all right, so we see how this came into effect. There's also another article in which that is called the Naga, the serpent. Is written by Soro Korania. All right, and it says the word serpent or Naga is rooted in the Sanskrit and means serpent. In the East Indian pantheon, is connected with the serpent spirit and the dragon spirit. It has an equivalency to the Burmese Nats or God serpent. In the esoteric traditions, it is synonymous for adepts or initiates. In India and in Egypt, and even in Central and South America, the Naga stands for one who is wise. One who is wise. All right. If you go to India, you have Nagarjuna. All right, in which that is shown with a aura or a halo or 7 serpents, hence the opening of the awakening of the 7 chakras, which is an indication of a very high degree of initiation. The symbolism of the serpent, of the 7 serpents, usually are cobras, all right, or also on the Masonic aprons of certain systems in the Buddhic ruins of Cambodia, in particular of Angkor Wat, where we know about the 50 cities of Angkor Wat, which symbolizes the 50 states in which they refer to as the United States of America. All right.
Oh.
You can get these 50 states or 50 cities, as they refer to as, was that of the tale or the prophecies of the Nagas, all right, who would return, all right. Listen to that, the fact that a part of her life, a portion of her life was actually here. She also, not only was Arena was born in Japan in that section and speak fluent Japanese, she was also here within the States and trained here. All right, so that is also a connection, being that also, once again, her father was a Moor. Now, the word anchor, as in Angkor Wat of Cambodia, the word Cambodia, word Cam is short for Kemet. Bodhi or Bodhia is from the word Buddha or Buddha. All right, and the first incarnation of Buddha is actually from Ptah Ra, or Ptah Ray, who is known within Gerald Massey Lectures. If you get the book by Gerald Massey, the Gerald Massey Lectures, he speaks about the fact that the word Buddha comes from the ancient Metu-Neter word Ptah, or Putah, P-U-T-A-H, Putah. And Putah became the word Buddha, which becomes Bodhi or Bodhia. So Cambodia actually was a city of the ancient Egyptians or Kemites or Temerians, and the word Angkor Wat with the word Ankh-Ur, which means the living light. All right. The great temple builders of the famous Angkor Wat were considered to be the semi-divine Khmers. All right, which is the Naga Khmers. And the word Khmer is the word Kamel or Kamul or Kamal. All right, which was the actual name of the ancient Egyptians. So the avenue leading to the temple is lined with the seven-headed Nagas. All right, even in Mexico, you find the word Naga, which becomes Nagal. Right, in China, the word Naga is given the form of a dragon and has a direct association with the emperor and is known as the son of heaven. While in Egypt or Temeri, the same association is termed the king initiate. All right, so the Chinese are even said to have originated with the serpent divine gods or demigods, and even spoke the language Nagakrita, right? Nagakrita. For a place there has no serpents, Tibet, they are still known in a symbolic sense as called Lu, which means Naga. And Nagarjuna, called in Tibetan, is called Lu Trub. All right, so this is what, portion of the article is saying. In the Western traditions, we find that the same ambiguity for the Naga or serpent. Of course, in Genesis, the serpent is the Naga who instructs the new infants, which is humanity, into what is called the knowledge of good and evil. The Christian church has unfortunately transformed the initiate teacher into a tempting and negative demon character. Naga is one of the handful of rare words surviving the loss of the first universal language, which is called Nagal. If you can get the book, The Children of Mu, written by James Churchward, who's the brother of Albert Churchward, who wrote the book Primordial Signs and Symbols of Man, you will find that the Nagal language is one of the first universal languages. Actually, the first universal language, in which that from out of Nagal came forth what we call the Metu-Neter, which is the mother tongue, the mother language. All right. So in Buddhism, wisdom has always been tied to and symbolically to the figure of the serpent. All right. Even in the Western tradition, it can be found that Jesus Christ in the Holy Bible, I believe it's Matthew the 10th chapter, the 16th verse, it says, "Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves," or gentle as doves. You know what I'm saying? So be ye wise as serpents. So serpents was always connected to wisdom. All right? Because the serpent is able to shed its skin, just like man is able to shed its skin which is the flesh itself, because the soul is embedded inside of the flesh, and the soul can shed the body. And yet the soul continues living, just like the snake. After it shed its skin, it continues to live. So the serpent was always synonymous with the soul, or was the emblem of immortality. All right? In its endless representation with the tongue in its mouth, which is called a Aurora Boreas, which is a Uraeus, the constant renewal of its skin and vigor in lives or in living, the symbols of continuous youth and eternity. The serpent's reputation for positive, medicinal, and or life-preserving qualities also contributes to the honors of the serpent, as seen by the employment of the caduceus. And of course, we see the Uraeus. The caduceus is the Greek terminology for the Uraeus, but the Uraeus, you see there's two serpents going up along the middle of the pole, and at the top there's a ball at the top, symbolizing the pineal gland, which the soul is embedded inside. And as the serpents come up to that area, the wings expand, showing the expansion of the mind, the opening and activation of the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, hence utilizing more than just 10% usage of the brain. The serpents, or Kundalini, and the serpentine fire, which is the two snakes called the Ida and the Pingala, which is called the sacral nerves, activates in order to cause the hollow area in the spinal column called the Shushuna. Those three act as what is called the nadis, or the nadis, in which that Kundalini Shakti comes up through the hollow area in the spinal column, as it goes up along that pole, which is the spinal column, to the top of the head, which is in the brain, which is that ball in the brain, which is the pineal gland itself, to awaken the soul. It shows you all that. So it says, to this very day, the Hindus are taught that the end of every universal manifestation, which is called Kalpa, all things are reabsorbed into the deity in the intervals between creations. It says, he reposed upon the Serpat, Seshes, which is duration, who is called Anatta, or endlessness. All right. So that is actually what's going on. And there's many words in which that correlates to the signs of the Naga. All right. Of course, the oldest is dating back to Africa itself, in particular with the Kushite Egyptian people, or Temerian, or what is called the Tassetians and the Tanessians, people. All right. And so we find that in ancient Africa, they depicted two serpents, the good, and the negative, or the good and bad, the positive and negative, the disagreeable, agreeable, the black and the white. All these are nothing but symbolic to negative or magnetic and electrical positive transmissions or currents, in which that occurs in the body, and particularly the nerves up along the spinal column. These two nerves crisscross each other in an elliptical pattern along the spine. All right. The fire movement up the so-called serpent or snake-shaped spinal column at the awakened level of the pineal gland that brings life to as ideas called thought forms and fro from the spiritual plane. All right. We also see that the apis, which is also part of the Kundalini at the half level, which is at the testes, the prostate, the sacral, or within a woman is at the uterus and the ovaries, that brings the life to the material plane, and the tree of life for good and evil, called the family tree or the family jewels. This is what this is all symbolic to. So the so-called bad serpent is the magnetic ego, personal me, myself and I, spirit called the lower self. It gives the vitality to the physical body. Throughout this state of consciousness at the base or root chakra level, the desire to live in the physical and on the material plane wouldn't exist. In other words, there would be no physical existence at all. Yet, however, the other planes of existence will still exist because the serpent also symbolizes the seven states of consciousness. All right? Or that outside of that last state, which would be the rest of the remainder of the 6 states. So life itself is not evil. Matter of fact, the word evil spelled backwards is Liz. However, the process itself can be interpreted as such, for the soul can be seen as a leech or, or in the body trapped, called incarcerated or incarnation. All right, so the serpent has also been known throughout the ancient world, and it was at least 200,000 years ago that the Africans used the serpent to denote the soul in its various conscious aspects. Right, so the physical soul and the melanated body, and matter of fact, we always say that the melanin is the physical counterpart of the spiritual soul. But if you go to Dr. Richard King, African Origin Biological Psychiatry, or his other book, The Melanin, The Key to Freedom, he speaks about how the physical soul or the melanin body to the shedding of it, and the other bodies to the spiritual soul. He speaks about those connections that we just talked about. The African wisdom, the ancient wisdom in Africa, we saw that there was exist a learned society which the Amazulu called the Bana Bakulu Ambas Shekamu. All right. Now, for those who don't know, that is actually Metu Neter. And it says that whose members came from all over, all amongst the many people of Africa, and whose origin is traced to the priesthood of all Set during the reign of Nagu, or the Pharaoh Khufu, which is during the 3rd dynasty, around 3900 BCE. And the inscriber on the Great Mir or Pyramid, and not the master builder of it, as told by many so-called Euro Egyptologists. He didn't build it, but he did inscribe his name on the building or on the pyramid. But the priests of Kemet and Sumer, which is Babylon, Mesopotamia, styled themselves as the sons and daughters of the serpent god, or the sons and daughters of the dragon. They determined that the name of the Neter, or the Neteru, which is the gods and goddesses, in particular, you had Nebhet, as well as also Set. Each one of them represented the Pingala and the Eta, symbolic to the spinal nerves. They also became another example for that would have been the rendition that we have within the Bible, within like Esau and Jacob, Jesus and Judas, Cain and Abel. Within the Sumerian text, it will be Incan and Enlil. All of this told over and over again symbolizes the same duality, higher and lower self representation over and over again. So that's definitely what's going on. In the Basuto, Africa, the word for serpent is Noga, 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 or Noga. All right. According to the Metu Neter by Raoul Nefer Amen on page 63, which is volume 1, he states that Nada was called the undifferentiated energy matter to give rise to the 9th manifestation. The 9th manifestation is known as the mother of all living things. All right. Jeremiah maintains that the Y in the names is not a primary sound, but rather one that evolved from G. So Nanya, or Nanya, which is in the native dialect of the Native Americans, means serpent, but that means Nanya means the word Naga. All right. The Dogons, god serpent, Sumerian god serpents are identical. All right. The god serpent is known as the one who dances in the shadow. In the Dogon's pantheon, the 7th ancestor transformed into a serpent. Right. The Dogon system of life, that it takes 3 male spirits plus 3 female spirits to bring forth the 7th generation human being, made of spirit flowing through a body, showing everyone that ever thought became physical or is made to manifest in the seventh generation of thought. Right now, this is coming from the Dogon philosophy, and this is what they talk about. We can go back to the African Origin of Biological Psychiatry by Dr. Richard King. He states that the name for the serpent exists in the hieroglyphics, where it's called the Kakayas, which is synonymously interchanged with the Nakad in the Egyptian hymn of Amen-Ra. The sun god is said to send his arrows against the evil serpent Naga. All right. The Chaldean thought that in most ancient time a race of extraterrestrials, the serpent men called Nagashna. All right, who warred with the Su Typhon or the Titan. The Chinese pyramids was built by the Moi of Vietnam, and this is why in ancient times the Vietnamese would say that when they seen their brother Nagas come from here, who was called the so-called black man, come from here, they told them many times that we the same, we same, we same. And we have reports of that from, I know many brothers who have come back from Vietnam, and they're now in their 60s and 70s, and they came from Vietnam, and they would tell you the stories of how the Vietnamese, oftentimes, when I even killed them, but they would kill their pale counterparts and leave the brothers alone. They knew who the brothers were because the brothers would be smoking weed, so they knew not to go and hurt them. But they would go and get the Caucasian or Albion European and kill them quick, disboweling them, so that in order to tell you, and also told the so-called black man to go home because this is not your war. You know, so they often knew that, you know, they said that we sane is because the Moi of Vietnam were the were one and the same of the Shang dynasty, who was the Nigerian of Nigerian descent, and the Nagas of the southern China, remnants of the ancient Mu civilization. Okay, I'm going slow tonight so everybody can understand what is going on.
Right.
So that when you do your research, you can go back and put these things together. All right. You had the in Amazulu, people amongst the South Africans, they had the Nalguni or the Nalgu, which is the Amazulu word, which means ancient ones. And the Nalguni is the group name for the Zulu. All right, and the Noguni peoples, all right, the Hausa, the Swazi, the Debeli, all right, and the Shangan, all right. Nogo, Nayama is also lion, all right, is another name for praised name for Amazulu king. All right, so Nogo, all right, a Nagu, all right. The African word Naguru is derived with the Vedic Sanskrit derived the word guru from, which means wise or teacher. All right, there's also a chakra called the Guru chakra, which is part of the crown chakra. This is the most top centered chakra. It's about 2 inches above the head, and is actually for the first eye, or the brow, up from the brow chakra, is also called the Guru chakra. All right, so these names is all within here. Even the word Negro, you know, the way that they have debased the name Negro, but originally the word Negro, which is a Spanish word meaning so-called black or dead. We know that Negro is closely connected to the word necro, a Greek word which means dead. And the connection of black and dead is not necessarily a negative one based on the fact that the Nagu, which is the magnetic current and also referred to as the Ida, actually give the ability of a shaman to be able to journey into the various realms to contact the ancestors and forces and to achieve power. In the esoteric sense, when the Kundalini has been properly unleashed, it produces a multi-interdimensional process. Psychic abilities develop such as clairvoyance, clairaudience, psychochemistry, telepathy, telekinesis, levitation, healing powers, prophecies, past life memories, out-of-body experiences, or astral travel or astral projection by the activation of the solar plexus, and also soul travel by the activation of the crown chakra or the first eye. Direct awareness of auras, being able to see auras and chakras, manipulate the energy of those chakras and auras, seal up holes and links of the bioplasmic field, lucid dreams, visions, very vivid like visions, contact with the so-called dead ancestor spirit guides through the inner voice. So this, so the Moors have, these powers, learn how to communicate with the ancestors through via the mind, which is via DNA memory. You know what I'm saying? So that is actually the real origin of the word Negro in the sense of necro. But when you look at the word Negro also, you see that it also stems from the word Nagru or natural or nature, all right, or nature, all right, as we say within the English transliteration, all right. And it was natural at one time for us. As a matter of fact, in you get ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, I think it was written by E.A. Wallace Budge. He writes the Neger, Negger, Negger. All right, it's called the Nigger or the Neger, all right, and it means golden one, all right, in the Metu Neter. It is also another form of Geb. It is also a term for the king initiate, right? So every king becomes called the Nigger, Negger, which is the word Neger. It is also the same word as Nebhiru, which means the golden light, which you're talking about in reference to your auric halo. And within the Sumerian text, it becomes Nubiru or Nebiru. All right. So we noticed that Webster Dictionary, I know when I was growing up, the word nigger meant one who was ignorant. But really the word nigger comes from the word nigger, which means the golden one, actually would denote in his deconnotative meaning and not his, which is his original meaning, meant knowledge or wisdom. All right, we see the example of this still existing in Africa when you go to Niger and you go to Nigeria. Niger is the male or masculine derivative of the ancient Egyptian word Nagu, which means serpent king. It's the title that was bestowed upon priest, Master Healer, with the Uraeus. And then, of course, of Naga, which means serpent queen or serpent goddess. It is the title that bestowed upon, the Pharisees who have mastered the healing sciences of the Uraeus. All right. You have the Nagina, which is the Mesopotamian word for justice. All right. You see the Hebrew connections to that in the traditions of Sedek, as in the term of Melchizedek, which means justice. Right. You have the Nagisia, in which that means righteousness. Within the Mesopotamian word, and which that is in the Canaanite traditions is called Misor. Right, therefore, together Misor and Sedek becomes the biblical king of righteousness called Melchizedek. All right, we have the Niagara, as in the Niagara Fall, in which that the word means Black River. All right. That's in upstate New York, bordering Canada. Yeah, then of course the Ethiopian or Abyssinian or Tessetian or Tunisian word, in which that means Nagas means the King of Kings or the Serpent King of Kings. Then you have the Nag Hammadi, which is the Aramaic Hebrew word, which means the Serpent or the black guide. And then, of course, you have the word Nagal, in which that is from Mayan, in which that means serpent god. All right, and you get that once again from the Sacred Symbols of Mu by James Churchward, another good book. And then, of course, the word Necher, which is the Necher origin of the word nigger, means God or God of wisdom or force of nature. And Naru Unk, right? The Necheru Unk is an ancient word in which means serpent god, to which that the boat of Alfu Ra is pulled by the 12 Amekau Nechus, entering the tail and the exiting the mouth, which results in Alfu Ra being trapped, now told in the sky by the 12 goddesses, which is symbolic to the 12 constellations. And of course, Kappa Ra and Alpha Ra was symbolic to Ra, which is the sun itself. So the sun and the 12 zodiac signs. All right, Nagal is the healer in the Sumerian lore. And in ancient Sumerian texts, you have the word Anunnaki. The word Naki, Anunnaki actually means heavenly sun serpent or serpent in the rainbow. All right, many people think that the Anunnaki is just an extraterrestrial race. Yeah, you are. Once you are able to energy Terra, which is your body. All right, extra Terra astral. That's what it is. Extra Terra astral. Extra astral energy on Terra, which is Earth. You being an Earthling. So the more energy that you can absorb in your body, the more extraterrestrial you become, the more mystical, the more magical you become. So hence you become the heavenly serpent or the sun serpent or the serpent in the rainbow, which is hence is the Anunnaki, which means those were Anu means up there. The word Naki means serpent. So it's the serpent up there. It's talking about when you see on the Uraeus, the Kundalini coming out at the forehead, that is the serpent up there. This is actually where these terms come from as compared to David Icke and many others, the way that they translate it. Also Zechariah Ascension, the way that they translate it and try to make you think that it's something external of yourself. Because you do go back to the science of the chakras and so forth and so on. Zechariah Ascension just simply had a all outward manifestation of interpretation in the mythology and never really applied it back to the physical body. Naki for the initiates of the Chaldean, corresponding to the Nagas or the serpent kings of the Buddhist legends, who preserves and guards the from these bloodlines have come the origin of the divine right of kings. There is a direct link between the Draconians, the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, architects, and builders who were originally the Brotherhood of the Snakes or Dragon, initiated by the Sumerian god Enki or Ea, which is the snake, which is symbolic to your of Eden, which is the universe or your body, who is credited with building temple people. So when you raise the Kundalini, there's nothing in which that you are not able to know or be revealed. All right. So the Metu Neter cosmology teaches these types of things, and this information spreading into the Americas, into North, Central, and South America, and you can get called the Return of the Serpents of Wisdom by. All right, he speaks about these particular things. All right, and how the serpent of brotherhood group came into these areas. Right, then you have another name within the Hebrew, which called El, means the serpent of God or the knowledge of God. Dr. Joseph Rock, a representative of the United States Department of Agriculture, Nakis, a colony of Moors, in 1923 in southern China, all right? Okay, so understand you can go there, which means the father serpents, who was the indigenous Moor nation right here in the Americas. Matter of fact, they had a confederation called the Wabanaki Confederation. The Lenape, which is called the Lenape or Lenape, also what is called the Delaware Moors, or Ishmael of Delaware. The Abenaki, one of the prince of the Abenaki, named Ben, who was referred to as Benjamin Badlaker. Okay. So, this is definitely the information, and also to verify where the Naga information come from, you can get a Spanish shot text. Right, the Hindu Naga serpent god of India is mentioned in there. All right, the Naga, which is the Nagini, a Nagini, which is the Indian serpent ruler, is mentioned. So all of this is right there in the Vedic Sanskrit text. All right, so we give you the books where all this information comes. You get another book by W. Robertson. It's called The Historical Decretion of India. All right, you can get that book. It speaks about the Nagas. All right, even the Nagas of Sudan, there's a group of Nagas in Sudan. Matter of fact, it said, for example, there's certain groups in Sudan who are called the Nagas, whereas the Brahmic or Brahmin Vedic group with racial features similar to the people of Sudan are also called the Nagas because they're one and the same people. Sudan is ancient Kush. Is derived from the people of ancient Kush. All right, so the Naga people were and still are the largest subgroup of the Kushites or the Kushitic speaking branch in India. In fact, the word Nagas retained the title Naga in various forms throughout Africa and South Asia even today. Any examples of terms being used to describe the various groups of African and Asia. For example, 2 African tribes of West Africa are called Naga Nina. You have the Naga Automata, who was the establishment of the great civilization in Ghana and Mali. Hence, the Ghanese Empire. Right? The tribe is currently called Naga, which is Naba, which later become Inuba or Nubia. All right, that's the actual origin of the word Nubia, not the degraded name that they have now, in which that they termed it or either. Remember, you have the what Brother Abdullah taught you, Brother L. You have the denotive meaning, and you have the what?
The etymology. You mean the
right?
That's what you're talking about.
Right. You have the denotive meaning, and you have the what?
The noted meaning had the also the I'm not sure. You're talking about the
cognitive meaning. Right. No, the cognitive meaning. You have the denotive, and you have the cognitive meaning.
Oh, okay.
The denotive meaning, right, is the original meaning and definition of the word, but over time, it developed cognitive meanings of that word, which is not the original meaning of the word. We'll take it as the as if of the word, but it's not. Just like over, it's not the original meaning of the word associated with it. It's something that happened later on as the cognitive meaning. But the denotive meaning of the word Negro at one time was meant king or teacher or enlightener. All right? But the cognitive meaning in which that has developed to mean only that of death and and everything associated with death and the fear of death and everything in which that becomes that, from the word necro, which is the Latin terminology in which that means dead. All right? So not just the dead as far as person is concerned, but it's talking about the communication with the enlightenment of Kundalini in order to be able to actually control those abilities to communicate with the ancestors. All right. The word Nubia, like I said earlier, the cognitive meaning, or the connotative meaning, that it became associated with it is slavery. But the original meaning is actually from the word Naga, which is the word Naba, which means prophets, or one who is able to see, which is later developed into the Nuba, which means golden, or Nubia, as before. Hence the term Nubian. The word Nahes or Nasi is another word for Nubian. All right, the names and tribes of nationalities such as the Nur, the Nuer, the Nuba, the Nubians, and even the North American Delaware nation of Moors called the Lenape or El Naba, are all related to the Naga tribes of India and South Asia. Right, you can get the book. There's another book which is called The Magic and the Folk Beliefs of the Southern Negro by Nubal Now. He states thousands of years serpent worshiping tribes were at this time sold into slavery. They bear with the snake. At the same period, this youth speaking slaves was taken to Louisiana, mixed in with the Olmecs, which of course the descendants of the Washita. All right.
What was the name of that book?
Long before the court, it's called The Magic and the Folk Beliefs of the Southern Negro by Nubal C.K.
Okay.
Right. Even in the Bible, we know that the biblical word for prophet was called Nebo. Then you have the Babylonian word Nabu, in which that is the same word as Nuba, which is the Hebrew or Syrian word Nebo, means prophet or eye, or as in the all eye seeing. All right. So also Nabu was also the son of Marduk, which is Saw. So Nabu actually is a form of Heru, or the physical incarnation of the individual that we call Tahuti, who was Imhotep during the third dynastic period under Dozer, who had the equivalent of power as that of the Pope today. All right, so you have the word Nagrish, or Nagrish, which means serpent in man. Right, you have the Naga Enra, which means the king of serpents. You have the Nagaraj, which means the king of serpents or serpent king. You have the Naga Bahushan, which means Bahu snake, as the ornament of Shiva. You have the Naga Kanya, which means the serpent of the rainbow. And the Naga Kanya is the seven-headed Nagas, the counterpart of the god Vishnu. And of course, Vishnu, ninth incarnation, is Krishna, all right, which is the Christ energy. So it just goes on and on and on, understanding what was really going on. So when we talk about Nagasaki and your sister being crowned the Japanese of Japan, or of the universe of Japan, as she goes before, as she represents them in the pageant of the universe pageant. And she's from Nagasaki, which is the city of the serpents, and then of course, if you're talking about with Hiroshima or Hiroshima, you have the word Hiroshimayat, or Hiroshima, which is Hiroshu and Mayat. That's the combination of Hiroshima. In other words, it's of the Sumerian Egyptian colony that colonized Japan.
That's interesting.
Remember, what did it? Do me your 7 and go to chapter 47 and read about the dominion. because that gives an understanding of what J. Rogers was speaking about as far as in Sex and Race Volume 1, that as well as also in Blackout Through Whitewash by Sister Suzo. She writes that so-called blacks were the first in Asia and pioneered Asian early civilization. She says the so-called black role in Asia, as elsewhere in the world, has been submerged and distorted for centuries. In Asia's African roots, as well as summarized in African presence in early Asia by Abdullah Sertima and Renoka Rashidi, and African presence in early China by James Bronson, were so-called black, and many of them are still so-called black, Southern China and Asia.
Mm-hmm.
The earliest occupants of Asia were small blacks, who's called the Pygmies, the snowman, who was the Twa people, or the Ainu people, which in Japan they still call the Ainu people to this day, A-I-N-U, who came to the region as early as 50,000 years ago. In the 100 Amazing Facts About the Negroes by J. Rogers, he reports that in 1923 that Europeans first discovered a hitherto unknown Negro race called the Nakis, or the Nakis, 200,000 in number in southern China. Even so-called blacks in southern China. The Children of the Sun by George Parks writes that it appears that the entire continent of Asia was originally the home of many black races, that these races were the pioneers in the established civilization that has flourished throughout the vast continent. Reports of major kingdoms ruled by blacks are frequent in Chinese documents. The first kingdom of the Southeast Asia is called Funan, famous for building masterful canal systems. The Chinese historian describes the Funan in black. The Ainu, which is Japanese oldest known inhabitants now, she has within which Arena Miyamoto has within her gene, all right, through her mother as well as also through the father, that the Ainus, Japanese oldest known inhabitants, have traditions which tells of a race of dark dwarfs who inhabit Japan before they did. Right? Historian Chikata Diop and also Albert Churchward so that the Ainu as originating in Egypt. There it is. I just said it, and there it is, being verified by historians Chikata Diop and Albert Churchward. There is archaeological support for this. In addition, ancient Egypt and Mesopotamian records that Ainu, which is Ainu, and Ainu are the same original race and type as the Australian Aborigines reports in Churchward and Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man, that J. Rogers also writes in Sex and Race Volume 1 that there are any number of Japanese who for color and hair bears a striking reason African Bushmen, because that's who they are from, the South African Bushmen, known as portions as the Amazulu people, the Bantu people. An ancient tradition points to the conquest of Japan from the southeast by a race of so-called black warriors, in which that, of course, symbolizes today the samurai clan, in which that it takes one black blood to make a good samurai. Right? She goes on further to say, did Africans build the ancient pyramids in Japan and China? But let's see. There are man-made pyramids in Japan, and the Chinese pyramids are located near the Xianfu city in the Sensi province. It says the Chinese do not know how they got there, but it was believed that the Africans of the Nile Valley was the builders. This is coming from the book Diary of Civilization. Mistaken for hills due to their eroded. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I wonder if they teach that in the history classes in Japan and China in their schools.
Obviously not, for them to make stupid ass comments like they did concerning the female, who is now one that
Japan means. Japa means ebonite.
No.
Ebonite. These
Right,
people.
Ebonite. Right.
Ebonite people.
Right.
Do they know
Right,
that?
the Ebonite people. No, they don't, brother. Remember, the archaeologists and anthropologists, they probably know, of course. But as far as the average people, I mean, it's just like here, the average people are dumb to their own culture, just like they are there within Japan. If they did, if everybody knew about us, then we would be respected on a whole different scale and a whole different level. This is the whole reason why we do what we do, is to get us back into that, understanding of who we actually are within all of the world and all of the cultures. All right. It says that the ones in Japan are made of stone, not indigenous to Japan. So they've been mistaken for hills due to their eroded appearance. It is said that they was built during the time of Mu. And you can see this on page 15 of the Growth of Civilization. All right. There's another one. It says, thank God for the answers at last at Mihara Karari. It says the pyramids of Japan. All right. So you can definitely, find this information.
So that's the same thing. Like most so-called black people here in the Western Hemisphere don't know they are Moors. And China, and most people in China don't know they are actually Manchurians.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the China's first historic dynasty and first empire and emperor was said black. It was founded by King Tang or Ta, which within the earliest, which in Metu Neter means Ta means land. The earliest documentation ruler of China was the Shang dynasty, which was 1500 to 1000 BC. It was credited with being together the elements of China's earliest known civilization. The Shang was given the name check this out, Naki, as in Naga. The word Na means black. The word Ki means man or energy. Under the so-called Black Dynasty, the Chinese established the basic forms of the graceful calligraphy that has lasted to the present day. The first Chinese emperor, the legendary Fu Si, was a woolly-haired so-called black man, or Moor. He is credited with establishing government, originating social institutions, and cultural inventions. He is said to have originated the I Ching principle, which is the book of change, or the book of transformation, which is the oldest and most revered system of prophecy in the Orient. It is known to have influenced the most distinguished philosophers of Chinese thought. All right, and that goes to on the card in which that we have coming from Prophet Noble Drali, coming from the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, or what is known as the Moorish Divine National Movement of the world. On the card, it says that we respect Confucius. Confucius was one who utilized this information.
Yeah, I was like you said before, if the people in China and Japan knew who we were, they would treat us different.
Right.
But, you got people in Mexico call us Merinos. Well,
right, Moreno.
They know who we are.
Right.
But they know who we are, though.
Exactly.
The thing, the most ironic thing that most of our people here don't know. They don't know. Right. That's due to Western colonialization, though. I know. Yeah.
Exactly. And see, the thing is too that everywhere that we're talking about Naga people in those areas and territories, like for example, we were talking about the martial arts originating in Africa and not in Asia. Well, Kalindi Ihi, who I've known now for probably almost 20 years, his essay in African Presence in Early Asia by Dr. Ivan Brown Sonderman and Renoko Rishidi reveals that the African roots of martial arts is that Africans discovered very early that the movements of the animals could be used effectively to develop their fighting style or skills. Also, that the animal principles would be isolated within the consciousness and unconquerable fighting force. The oldest records of kicking, throwing, wrestling, and punching techniques was found in Egypt. These warriors, scientists laid the foundation for all martial art systems, including Kung Fu and Judo and Karate. The first people of India were African, where India itself means black. Yoga and other so-called Eastern teachings originate in Africa. The Latin word India is from the Greek word Indos, which means black. The earliest people of India were black Africans. It is believed that many of them came from Ethiopia, often called Dravidians. Now, this is verifying everything that I'm telling you. I'm going back now, giving you the books and authors. So that way you can't say that Alim said no. Alim also gave you the documentation, right? So don't play that. Often called Dravidians, the Africans founded the great Indus Valley civilization around 3000 BC. They brought with them many spiritual sciences which originated in Africa, such as those of yoga, kundalini, and reflexology. They were masters of urban planning and agriculture. Their homes and cities had running water, toilets, and underground sewage systems. Evidence at the Mohenjo-Daro ruins of 2000 BC. It is believed that the Ganges, the second river of India, is named after the Ethiopian king of the name who conquered Asia as far as this river. Buddha, Krishna, and other great black sages arose from their successive civilizations, including the great king of Asoka. All right. So, if you can go back and read this and study the information and see, how this is all true and stands as true, within the information, within the documentation. That's why I give so much, books and different things so that people can go back and do their research.
Right.
Anything you want to build on, Brother L? Before we go to the phone line.
Yes, I like the way you broke down Nagasaki and Hiroshima. I didn't look at Hiroshima that way until you broke it down tonight. Like Haru, and you said Shima. I didn't know that at first.
Right.
That's why I always like not only being a co-host on the show, but I like listening to you because I know with some I always learn new, find out something new. That's why I always another reason why I like to be on your show so much. So yeah, brother, you're doing a good work tonight.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming on. Because it's time to get this information out to our people as much as possible. Even the word, if you go to Hebrew, I want to say this, when you go to Hebrew, you have the word Nagai, which is from the word Naga. And Nagai means giving light or shining or brilliant or illuminating or enlightened or luminous intelligence. Right? Even the word Nakash in Hebrew means serpent. In Arabic, it is Naya or in fact, the Arabic word for serpent people is Nas, as in Gnostic, those who know.
Right.
Right. And this is from the people, or they made of the black mud, hence the Nasut. All right. So it's shown over and over again. Even, in the Metru Neter, Volume 1 by Raul Nefer Amen, on page 98, he says the hieroglyphic symbol for this part of the spirit is a serpent. Part of the spirit is composed of subtle electromagnetic energies that has the function of animating man's life, especially the physical body. Hence the name animal spirit or anima or animus, as it is called in the Latin spiritual tradition. Our modern use of the term animal to denote creatures that has been identified as the example of muddying thoughts. All living things in this world are infused with this animated spirit. All right, which is what? The Nagas. The Naga, or in the sense of what is Kundalini. All right? So it is actually the word Naga itself is talking about prana or chi or ki energy, the universal life force. And the more that you can house it the more you become a physical representation of that life force. As a matter of fact, at the highest level, you create that halo or that auric halo around the top of the head, which is the sun disk, which is called Aton or Adon or Adonai. All right, within the Greek, Adon within the ancient Kemetic, and Adonai within the Hebrew, which is all means Lord or master. You become the master of your destiny at this point. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we have various hills. Matter of fact, we have, it's called Nagaland in eastern India. You have the town called Wakanayama, Naga, which is a town in Japan. You have the Philippines, Naga. You have an ancient city or town in Kush, which is called Naga. Even in the Philippines, again, you have Cebu, Naga. You know, so the word Naga is within the Asian culture and African culture. Even the in Sri Lanka, you have the Naga people. Okay, you have in the Tibetan, in the Himalayas, you have the Tibetan people of the Hindu influence of the Naga sadhus. All right, so a lot of information, you know, for everybody to go back over and actually do the research too, because this is no coincidence that this word has survived, you know, for years and years and eons and eons. You know what I'm saying? Like we said, it goes all the way back to the first language, which is called the Naga language, which means the tongue of the Naga people. All right, let me go to the phone lines. We got area code 732. Area code 732. You're on the line.
Peace, brothers. This is Lost Son Bay. How y'all doing?
Well, brother. Well, brother. How God doing?
Everything is well. I've definitely been sitting back enjoying the mass of information that the brother kick. You kick so much knowledge. You just got to take notes and go back and just go ahead and absorb and take things in.
Right.
My question, something been on my mind for about 2 weeks now. A lot of Moors, original people, mostly the older ones I see, they have a fear of snakes. And
right.
that was never for me. I used to grow up, I used to catch snakes and always loved snakes. I was always drawn to them. But I wanted to know, is our people's fear of snakes, does that have anything to do with, for one, our history being suppressed about the serpentine energy, and as well as does it have to do with religion and how they twisted our image of the snake?
Yeah. Exactly. The reason why the Jews was looking for a culture to tie themselves onto, and they tied themselves onto the most powerful culture of all times, which is the ancient Egyptian culture, at least of all times, in the sense that that is the information that we have the most abundant of, that we have the remnants of, as far as proof, as far as being able to see and touch, you know, that which is still there, written on the walls today. So they drafted themselves onto the Egyptian culture, and then at the same time attempted to birthright theft of the ancient Egyptian culture in order to steal their information and then give their rendition of the information, you know, and then demonize the ancient Egyptian belief system. Because here it is in two different accounts of Moses. It says in the book of Acts that Moses was trained in all the ways of the ancient Egyptian. That's in the book of Acts. So then we go to the Old Testament, and then you see that that the Egyptians feared that they would be that anyone who touched this, who looked at the snake, would be bitten. And then it says Moses made a bronzen serpent along a staff, in which that whoever shall look in his eyes shall be healed and not bitten. Well, what is this staff talking about? That is the caduceus, the same symbol that's on the hospitals around the country, around the world, the same one that's on the ambulances, you know, in this country particularly. You know, that staff of that serpent coming over. That is actually right. That's the staff of Imhotep, and also the staff of Nagal. Nagal is the Sumerian form of Imhotep, who existed during the third dynasty under Dozer, and he was known as the father of medicine. He was known as the father of medicine. He was the first to do the eye operations, the brain operations, the heart operations, all these types of things in the same surgical equipment that is found now, which is part of the
and now they were using then. Yes.
Right. Then it's still being used now, and that dates back over 4,000 years ago.
Right.
Okay. So we understand Imhotep. You know, he was the Christ figure that they based the biblical Old Testament of Joseph on, not just Joseph, but of Joshua. The Old Testament Joshua character was based on Imhotep, and then later on in the New Testament, Jesus, whose name was Joshua, was based on the real character of Imhotep.
Right.
Okay. So yes, Imhotep existed, but white Jesus never existed. Okay. Sorry.
Right.
To bust the bubbles, Christians is just saying so. Just say so. Right. So if you're saying in Jesus and you're talking about a physical man, then you must be talking about the multitastic genius known as Imhotep, because he existed.
Right.
But we're not even talking about him per se. We're talking about that which that he worshipped or he acknowledged as the power of life, which was Shu, which is the breath of life, where the word Yeshua actually stems from, in which that is the personification of air or the word made flesh. That is what dwells within us. Imhotep may dwell in us as far as latent genes, you know, within our DNA, but the breath of life is accessible and something that we all do 25,920 times out the 24-hour span out of the day.
Right.
That's the most thing that you do out of the day. You might only eat 3 meals, all right? You might drink 8 glasses to 12 glasses of water, but you breathe 25,920 times. So that's far greater than eating and drinking. All right.
Absolutely.
So that's what we have to come to the understanding of.
And does that also correspond with that great year of that 26,920 years cycle?
Exactly. The 5,928 years cycle, right, to be right and exact. So, yep, it correlates to that perfectly. So you have your great year every great day.
Absolutely, right. Thank you, brother. That was my only question.
All right. Appreciate you, God.
I appreciate
you always. Peace, love, and light.
Peace.
Love and light. All right, we're going to go back to the phone lines. You got area code 323, area code 323. You're on the line. 323, you're on the air.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you?
Yes,
Hello?
peace. Now we got you.
Hear you loud and clear.
Peace,
Yeah, brother. Man. Thank you for the information. I just want to verify, I get a confirmation with the NAGAS. Is it the eternal promise of the NAGAS? That's what he left us. The eternal, what I'm trying to correlate is that the immortal soul will be seen through the NAGAS.
Exactly.
And then this information right here is even on the landmass today in Arizona where the Hopi dance or the snake dance.
Right, the snake
and if
dance.
I can't
That's
say,
exactly it.
And if
so
I
the
can't
Ziggy
say
ceremony by the Dogon, who the Hopis are descended from, who they learned the snake dance from, is from the Dogon.
Yes, brother. And this information is more than 4,000 years old. And I just want to input that I had an experience 20 years ago on peyote, just by accidental.
Right.
And what it showed me, as in snake people, when they was pumping my stomach, I seen the snake, the serpent.
Right.
But then now that I'm sober, I've been sober for 3 years, and now the information is in plain sight. But you will not see it with an intoxicated body. That's all I got to say, brother, and keep on with the information. I
appreciate you, Ak. Thank you, Ak.
Appreciate you.
And then you did answer a question for me one day on the equinox. I was the brother with the triple full moon when all the planets was in line.
Right.
Something that we're going through today.
Right.
This equinox coming up in the super moon.
Exactly.
See, people was not being how should I say, aware of what's going on. Because out here I'm in L.A. and they call it the Santa Ana wind.
Right.
But I think it's something way more powerful than the Santa Ana whooping their ass. You know what I'm saying? Because this is between not even 20 miles from Beverly Hills. And these is big homes, you know, and these crackers, trees is falling on them. But right here in South Central, it's just a warm breeze.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying, brother, you right online. It's right online. The information is there.
Oh, yeah.
Are you doing to it is perfecting the science? You just telling us in scientific form.
Right.
Exactly.
And everything you backed up is in one book. And I'm holding the book, what they never told you in history class. Everything you said tonight can be found. Bibliography. And you can do the research yourself, brother. So I'm going to listen in. I'm going to sign out. And if any other brother want to build.
All right. Appreciate you, God.
All right.
Appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.
You get area code 817. Area code 817. You on the line? Area code 817. I can hear you a little bit. Speak a little bit louder. Area code 817. Brother L, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear him. Oh,
right.
She, whoever it is.
Okay.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Right. Okay, area code 817. Can you hear us? All right, if not, we're going to go back to 817. Area code 740. Area code 740, you're on the line.
No, peace and blessings, brother.
Peace.
All right. Thank you for the message tonight. I got a question. You had talked about the word Naya a couple minutes ago, about maybe 5-10 minutes ago. And what did that word mean, Naya?
It meant basically chief within the native amongst the Native Americans. It meant chief, teacher or leader.
And you say the word Naya means what?
Teacher or leader.
Teacher
or leader.
And leader. Mm-hmm. Okay, leader. Yeah, I got a niece who's named Naya, and man, their mother is a Native American. So I don't know if
so it means
their mother named it, but I was like, when he said that, I'm like, and I can see those characteristics in my niece. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
she's
I guess
be ahead.
Okay, I got you. How is that spelled?
Yep. The way that the Native Americans spelled it was Naya.
Oh, Naya. I got you. Yeah, that's exactly how it's
right. But it was still but it'd be based on phonetics. So it has similar phonetics, then more than likely it has the same meaning within their culture.
Okay. Can you explain something, brother, to us? I want to know. I haven't got a straight answer on the internet, but when did we come into the age of Aquarius?
Minute now.
Essentially, I'm gonna put it this way. We're in the season of that now. You had the 1960 called the 50 Missions, which was Marilyn McCool, and which that they had the song called The Age of Aquarius, the most popular song that whole year. So we can see that around that time was the beginning stages of what we call the New Age movement.
Okay.
In which that New Age movement correlates now to the new information that is coming into view or into place over the last 45 years. So
Okay.
we can see that we're in the season of that now. So we might not have actually reached that particular time period based on some calendars,
Okay.
but we are definitely in that period with the rise of what we refer to as Heru. Heru was the age of Aquarius, which would be the age of enlightenment, or the age of knowledge, the age of knowing. It would be the time of knowing. Our increase of knowledge is one of the technical examples of that taking place and coming into fruition.
Okay. Is there supposed to be a transformation or an ascension with the black people of the world? You know, maybe a transition from moving from our oppressive state to maybe a higher dimension of thinking?
Well, it's called the photonic belt, and within the photonic belt, we have just crossed the dark rift, and we're coming out on the other side of the photonic belt now, which means that we'll be closer towards the central circle Alcyon, which is thousands of times larger than our sun. So, in that regard, yes.
Okay. All right. I definitely appreciate it, man. You guys keep on doing what you do. Peace and blessings.
I appreciate you, Ike.
Peace.
All right.
Peace.
Much love.
Much love.
We got area code 410. Area code 410. You on the line? We got 10 minutes left. What you got?
Okay. Peace, brothers. Peace. Peace, brother L. Peace, Alim.
Peace.
Brother Bella. Just a quick question, man. I had like, as far as, you know, there's not too many etymological dictionaries online that you know, besides etymononline.com. It seems like that's the best we got online that I know of, and I'm not sure if anybody knew of something that goes beyond dictionary.com and everything. I've been using for you know, decades, but like far as the Japa or Japan, the best they can give us on the entry is the Japanese, the etymology of Japan is from Japao, and meaning sunrise or something like that. But I'm just trying to get a closer connection with the ebonite part of the word.
Right. Brother L, he asked me about the particular word.
Yeah. What I learned it from was about almost 20 years ago. This was a sister that told me, broke it down to me. She said, Japa, you know, meaning ebonite, you know, knees, meaning people, you know, ebonite people. Now, that's how she broke it down to me. You know, now you could have found it maybe you could have found it another source from another source, and it could have told you something different. I don't know, you know. But that's how I found out.
Okay.
You know,
yeah, because no doubt that you know, we can't trust what's his name, Noah Webster. You know the
yeah.
And,
sometimes he'd be right. Sometimes he's like he broke it down about the 1828 of his dictionary, 1828 dictionary about the original American people. You know, or copper complexion people, or colored people. You know, copper club, and the Europeans came over and they took the title and named themselves Americans. You know, so he was 100% dead on correct with that one. So you know, a lot of things, you know, maybe a few things, you know, you can't trust what he tells you in his books, you know, but a lot of it you can, you know.
Yeah, every now and then you can see the dust under the rug of history. You know, they stomp on the rug of history. You see the dust pop up. You know, oh, what was that?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And brother Alim, are you familiar with I guess how Islam is related with Buddhism, or
Yeah.
is it any
It is. All world religions are related because they all come from one source, which is ancient Egypt, in which that the Egyptian high priest was the Cushite, in reference to the Ethiopians. And you have this script called the Heretic script and the Moedic script, as well as also the demonic script, in which that shows the connection in the ties between those various languages or dialects of the mother tongue, which is called Metru Neter. Now, as far as you find, like I said, we go to the book Jeremiah Lectures written by Jeremiah. He states in it that the origin of the word Buddha comes from the word Putah, P-U-T-A-H, which is P-T-A-H, which, of course, Putah or Ptah was the god of gods. He was the head of all the Neters or Neterus. And so that school journeyed from out of ancient Kemet or Tamari, and they went into the Orient or into Asia with that belief system of the Buddha. All right. So they always understood that. Even the word Buddha, in its cognitive meaning, is black, meaning dark complected one. All right. You can find this in encyclopedia, Cambridge Encyclopedia. It tells you this. All right. So we know that it comes from the African people and it's one source. If the people looking other than black to this day or dark hue to this day, then you know that they were not originators of it. They are the bearers of it. They hold the information now, but they are not the springers. They did not spring forth from them. Those people still exist within those lands, but those people never seen on TV or in books or magazines, per se. Unless you go to the country and you see them for yourself, just like the so-called black Mexicans. You don't see them unless you go there. When I went to Mexico, we went downtown. We went into all the regions, that we could around the Cancun, Tulum, Cobol, Chesney area, and we people by complexion and your complexion.
What was the what was that famous series? Back in the was it the 80s or the 90s? The guy that went in Mexico showed the how black people was connected with. Say it again.
I was saying it's Socho.
Yeah, something Junior. I think Chris Rock. Remember, he was doing people, celebrities. They was doing their family lineage. They was tracing back their family and through the family tree. And Chris Rock was one of them.
Louis Gate.
Yeah, Louis Gate Jr. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yep. Okay, brother. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I had to, go and get on my studies with the Mu people also, because that always intrigued me, the Mu people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The more than not.
The Moors.
Yeah.
The Moors. Yeah. That's all the Moors are. Move.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'm going to move on to the next caller or not now. All right. Appreciate the information y'all disseminating, and y'all take care.
All right. Peace. All right, we got area code 919. Area code 919. You're on the line.
Peace, more.
Peace.
Can you hear me?
Peace, more.
Peace, more. Yes, we got you loud and clear.
Islamism. I wanted to get some information on the Islamism. I was wanting to get some information on dealing with the when dealing with the ancient Kemet, and then we go over to dealing with the Shang Li dynasty. and
the
Sambo. And that's the basically dealing with the serpent and the dragon.
That's exactly right, brother. Exactly. No, that
I had a brother
was Mhm.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mo.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You was talking. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
No,
Did you say something?
I want to hear what you say. Yeah, I can hear you, brother. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I wanted to go into the Shang Li dynasty because the brother was going to talk about those who betrayed themselves to being of the lineage. Just as you deal with the Ashkenazis when they stole the lineage of the Hebrews, and it's like you're dealing with the Caucasoid when he stole the lineage of the Americans because they didn't start calling themselves Americans until the 17th century, the 18th centuries. I want you to elaborate on that for me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you just want me to go over that? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once again, the book Sex and Race by J. Rogers, Volume 1. Right. Well, J. Rogers, he speaks. He said in the earliest Chinese history, several texts in the classical books speaks of the diminutive blacks. Thus, the Shuli, composed under the dynasty of Shuli, give a description of the inhabitants of black. It says the Prince Liu Nan, who died in 122 BC, speaks of a kingdom of blacks in the southwest of China. The additional evidence of Negroes, Professor Chang Lang, in the article, The Importation of Negro Slaves to China under the 618 and 907 AD. All right. He says that the Ling Yi Gao Chung contained in the book 197 of Yu Shu, which is the old dynastic history of Tang. Of course, if it was during the old dynastic history of Tang, then it couldn't have been those so-called Negro imports. This had to be the people. And he says the people living in the south of Lin Yi has woolly-haired and dark skin. All right, the Chinese folklore speaks often of these Negroes and mention an empress of China named Li. So the name Li keep popping up over and over again. And in China, the name Li means black. So Bruce Lee, Jet Li, all of them come from this heritage of the emperor. Yuan is spoken of being a Negro. So the emperor is spoken of as being a Negro. He added that according to the writings of the late period 7th to the 9th century, Negroes were imported into China from Africa. Remember, if you're talking about the old dynastic history of the Tang or the Shang people or the Shang dynasty, then that would have to be the first dynasty, because we know that the Shang dynasty came about during the third dynasty, and these dynasties date back further than 618 AD. These dynasties date back to almost almost now 2,200 years ago.
Right.
So this is further, much further back, than what they're talking about. Matter of fact, there's it says right here, in the first epochs of Chinese history, the Negrito type people all the south of this country and even in the islands of Hainan, and we have attempted to prove in studies on the Negrito or black man on this island. It says the skulls of these Negroes have been found in the island of Formosa and traces of the Negro element in the islands of Liu, Kiyu, which is the south of Japan.
Okay.
So there's much information. It just keeps going over and over and over. Again, it goes further. Matter of fact, here goes one too. Eber, a French anthropologist who lived in the Far East, said it in the Les Negrito de la China. It says the Negro people at sometime all the south of India, Indochina, and China. So he says that the Negro race people, at sometime all of south of India, Indochina, and China. The South and the Indochina actually had more pure Negro as the Semites and as the Malay and the Sakayas. All right, so it goes on. I mean, we be reading, what I'm saying, till next week, proving, who was the oldest people in that group.
Now I wanted to know about the samurai. They said to be a true samurai, you have to have some Negro blood in you. That's what I heard.
That's exactly what it is.
I read that in Manosha Rashidi was one of his books. Right.
Well, as a matter of fact, M.J. Rogers, Sex and Race, he goes on. He said there is a very evident Negro strain in certain elements of Japanese population, particularly those of the South. Hebrews say that the Negro element in Japan is recognized by the Negro aspect of certain inhabitants with dark and often blackish skin and fuzzy or curly hair. The Negrito are the oldest race in the Far East. It's been proven that they once lived in eastern and southern China as well as in Japan, where the Negrito element is recognized still in the population. It says Professor Muro of the foremost students of Japanese life and culture said that the Chinese are a mixture of several distinctive stock: Negroes, Mongolians, bred of face, the width, the flat nose, and the traces are all to the Negro stock. All right, he goes further. Professor Dixon say that in Japan, the ancient Negrito element may be concerned by characteristics which are at the same time explicit. All right, it says, however, no proof of the actual presence of Negrito has yet been unearthed in Japan, according to Professor Tori. He tested the genes. Guess what they found out? That the Chinese as well as the Japanese and all Asians come from out of Africa. They all have Negrito genealogy or DNA. Right? This has been proven. There was a actual article you can look up about the Japanese are nothing more than African. So what Jay Rogers is talking about, what Jay here is actually been proven. In that regard. So, of course, it will come later on that if they verify, that ancestry, then it would go into the same understanding that the samurai were those people who stated it. That actually was a saying amongst them. This saying is actually found in several encyclopedias. So. Okay. And it's also like I said within the book by J. Rogers, Sex and Race. He has it here. If I find it in a second, let me see if I can find it. Because he talks about it. All right. May not be able to find it right now, but
that's okay,
there's
guys.
a known saying.
Send it to me later.
All right. I know another book that you can go to in order to find it is Blackout the Whitewash by Dr. Suzor. And also another book is What They Never Told You in History Class by Indochina Kush. All right. Which people of Japan were blacks. Blacks were the first people in Japan. So he writes that in there, how it states within their philosophy that in order to be a good samurai, you must have a drop of black blood.
Right.
Okay.
I think it was a movie just came out. I think it was the 39 Samurai, I think it was called. Or the
right. 49 Ruins. Right, the 49 Rowan, something like that.
Yeah, the Romans, right.
Yeah, 47 Romans.
True story.
Right.
Yeah, the 47 Romans.
47
Based on
Romans.
a true story, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They had the white guy, and they were saying that he wasn't a true samurai because he wasn't true blood.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that was good information, God. Peace.
Peace.
All right, peace. So, we getting ready to head out. Any closing remarks, Brother Fahim?
Yes. I'm trying to. Do you know what the name Amaya means?
Amaya.
Amaya.
Wait, it means sea or water. Sea. S-E-A. Sea or water.
F-E-A?
No, S-E-A.
Okay.
Sea.
Okay.
As in ocean water.
Okay.
Right, ocean water, right.
Okay. I have a niece that named that. I could never find that name, the meaning of that name. But anyway, brother, it's always a pleasure being co-hosting with you on your show, and I'm looking forward to next Wednesday to do it again.
Appreciate you. We out, y'all. Peace.
I don't need to be a dope boy, my poetry is dope enough. Trapping interstellar while my third eye open up. See through all the lies that y'all telling with a straight face. Return of the luminous ones. Y'all better make way to find a chapter. Find a collapse on all you politicians. They politicking how to lead a world, no pot to piss in. The way I think is more deep and in the Grand Canyon. I guarantee this black man would be the man standing. My premonition matched the OMAC calendar. It's always accurate like a lightweight challenger. For all you wicked witches and the Wizard of Oz, you and that man behind the curtain, yeah, y'all fixing to fall. Only a matter of time before shit hit the fan. Here's an idiot's guide for you on how to get a man. I don't need a bunch of homers to ride or die with me. I can call on Hey Roo to fly the skies with me. Going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the folk. Came back for angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the folk. Came back for angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth. When I'm riding on this city streets, never really miss a beat. To the point of no return, unless I turn another cheek. Catch me on my dating bot, smooth as I wanna be. Just being me, never chilling with the wannabes. God in the flesh, dated bad sister Atlantis. Because my history is more than they can understand it. My melanated skin, star brush from the astro. I'm made of dark energy, created from black holes. Know thyself, the only one you can lean on. I got some school books that y'all can break y'all weed on. Our hair is Martin Luther King and slave ships. But what about the underwater cities and spaceships? My mystical mind, we had the government covering. But if the OMAC will fly away like a mothership, we're African people, we're the real Anunnaki, wearing feathers on their heads just to prove feet taller than me. Through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the folk. Came back for angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the folk. Came back for angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth. Yo, don't look at me the same, I ain't nothing like I used to be. Upgraded daily through the lies and all the foolery. My dream became lucid, I travel back in time, collecting life data from my subconscious mind. That father let me know that anything is possible by pulling down the universe through my crown chakra. Manipulate the energy is all an illusion. Knowing who you are kills all the confusion. Why 85% judge off my appearance? I use alchemy to create the word potential. My lyrics turn divas right back at the queens. Why dope boys are think twice appearing back on the scene. Everybody gone mad, bladed media outlet. The new black Hollywood chosen straight out the project. Homo and gender war sucking up to the master. While the whole community going up in disaster. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the folk. Came back for angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the folk. Came back for angel time to bring birth.